Hello. Yeah, that's better. Okay, we're going to start right on time because we want the candidates to have as much time as possible. So my quick intro is I'm Maury Kelly. I'm the organizer of this event. We are lucky this year to have such a big slate of candidates, and we have a bunch of new candidates that made it past the primary. When I walked around town, people asked, who are they? Do you know them? So we felt a group of us, just residents in the town, felt this would be time to have another forum so that you could hear from the candidates themselves. The questions tonight were submitted in the following ways. There was a Dropbox at the library asking for questions from the public. There was an outreach to business owners in the town for their issues. And there were questions submitted by neighborhoods not represented at the last forum. All told, there were over 90 questions submitted. They were excellent questions. Bad news is we can't ask them all. So a committee of like 6 or 7 people, we wrote them to make them, more general questions, and that's what you're going to hear tonight. The format tonight will be as follows. Candidates get 1 minute for introductions. Then round 1 will be 2 minutes to answer each question, but we are not asking the same question of every candidate. So the first question will go to the first 2 candidates, and then it will go to the next 2 candidates, a slightly different question or a completely different question. Then at the end of round 1, which should be 2 questions by each candidate that they've answered, there will be a lightning round. Each candidate will answer the lightning questions, all 10 of them. I mean, not 10 questions, but all 10 candidates. But that'll be very quick. Round 2, we go back to the round 1 format, and depending on time, you may only get 1 more 2-minute question at the end. You do get a 2-minute closing statement of the candidates. In that time, I've left out paper and pens for everyone. If you feel that you were not asked the question you wanted to be asked, you could address it in your closing statement or however you want to use the last 2 minutes. We hope to end this promptly so that there is food and water in the back of the room so that the candidates can shake hands and meet people one-on-one. Also, no candidate has any prior knowledge of the topics, the questions, or answers. So without further ado, I want to introduce our moderator tonight, which is Nancy McLean, and she lives full-time in Eastward Look with her husband Gail and their Great Dane. Since retiring, Nancy has volunteered with several local organizations, including Lasagna Love, Narrow River Preservation Association, the Friends of the Narragansett Library, and the League of Women Voters of South County. Some of you might recognize her from the League of Women Voters. However, she is not representing them tonight. She is just our excellent voice and moderator representing Narragansett resident, just representing us tonight. So, without further ado, thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates that are here tonight. We're so happy that we have a full slate. Thank you for the introduction, Lori, and thank you for the opportunity. One note I just wanted to make was, I don't know if any of you know this, but every candidate, when they came in, they picked a random ball out of a hat that had the number of where they sat. So the question they get is very randomized. It's not specific to any one person. I'm going to just go down a list of questions, and it's just going to go down the row of the table. So there's no particular question directed at any particular candidate. All right, let's get it started. And what we'll start with is the opening statement from each candidate. We do have a timer. I think we talked about that too, right, Lori? Yes. So we have Jane here who's timing, and Lori who will hold up a card saying you have a minute left, or 30 seconds left, or 15 seconds left. So you may want to, the candidates, glance over at Lori to make sure you're on time and you're finishing up in the amount of time that we're giving you. All right, so we'll start with the opening for each candidate, 1 minute each. And the timer will start when you say your first word. So Jim, why don't you start?
Everyone here shares the same goals for our town. We want great schools, care for our aging population, affordable housing, and a strong focus on preserving our natural resources and supporting our fishing community. It's also essential that we maintain a healthy balance between our summer visitors, URI students, and a year-round residents. And of course, we all want low taxes, efficient government, and solid infrastructure. The real question is, how do we get there? I'm running with a slate of 5 dedicated long-term residents who deeply understand that it means to be part of this community. We lived here, gone through the schools, watched our children and grandchildren do the same. We know firsthand the challenges and opportunities that Narragansett faces. We aren't outsiders looking in, telling you what we think you need to do. If you elect us, we will work collaboratively to achieve the goals our citizens truly care about and will always remain accessible to you. Thank you.
You have a stop sign.
But he wasn't looking. Oh, that's so someone did nudge him.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look at the cards too. Go ahead, Rupert.
Good evening. I'm Rupert Friday. Thank you for making time to be here tonight. My family and I live in Narragansett's north end, not far from the Narrow River, and we've lived in Narragansett for 24 years. We love our town's sense of community, feeling of belonging, and natural beauty. My career has been working in public service to protect our environment and promote effective community planning. I've had the privilege of working with many communities, facilitating civil discussions about contentious issues and building consensus on a vision for their future. I want to use my experience, lessons learned, to help our town seize our opportunities and address our challenges. Thank you again for being here tonight.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jill Lawler. Thank you all for being here tonight. I am running for my 4th term. The reason I'm running tonight is the same reason I ran years ago. And I walked into someone the other day when I was canvassing who reminded me of that. When I met her at the polls, she asked me why I want to run for town council. And I said, I want to protect the residents of this town and our community. So tonight is the same as in 2016 when I ran the first time. I'm here to protect the town and the residents of this town and also our sense of community. And most importantly tonight, I know I am running against a slate of 5 candidates who have said in one degree or the other that they will remove and take apart the resident-friendly proposals for zoning that we have ordinances developed in this last council. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name's Steve Ferrandi, for those of you who don't know me. My legacy goes back pretty far in the town when my uncle bought a beach house right down on Middle Road near Scarborough in 1945, just after the war ended. So I probably have one of those legacies of a lot of other people. My parents bought the house in 1960, so we've been down there ever since. I've always worked collaboratively with a lot of the neighborhood associations, and my goal is all about the quality of life. If you read my signs, it says residents first. I mean that in a way that we have to take care of our residents. The quality of life is big. You know, we have a lot of issues in town that are happening now that's changed the way this town has been in the past. Not all for the good, so I'm about the quality of life and bringing that back. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the library for hosting us this evening, and thank you to the residents for coming out to be informed constituents. My name is Ryan Torialde, and I want to be your next town councilor. I am a Boy Scout turned Eagle Scout of Troop 2 Narragansett, and a member of the Narragansett Lions Club. In college, I was a resident assistant, turned senior resident assistant, so in a sense I've always felt called to leadership. I'm a project manager by trade, which has taught me to not necessarily be the smartest person in the room, but to surround yourself with the smartest people in the room. I like to think that I've done that with the slate and the boards that we will listen to will on office. Thank you for your time. Let's have a great event.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Lori and Nancy, for putting this forum together, and welcome to all residents here in attendance. My name is Alex Menzies, and I am a born and raised lifelong Narragansett resident. I received my bachelor's degree from URI and earned my master's from Boston College. I have served 4 years on the Narragansett School Committee, and 2 of the recent years serving as vice chair, working hard to support our resident families and supporting our public schools. Our town supported my education, and now I ask for the opportunity to return that support to you. I am running for town council because I believe we can do better and we have to do better. I encourage that we all listen to each other more and treat each other with respect. It is healthy to express differences of opinion, but at the end of the day, we need to be able to compromise and move forward. It is my hope that we will be able to bring our community back together. Let's work together to create a future for Narragansett that works for not just some, but for all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Donna McNally. I'm a year-round resident living in Briggs Farm with my daughter and my two beautiful granddaughters. After coming to Narragansett every weekend and every summer for 8 years, I was able to fulfill my greatest dream 10 years ago when I retired here. I taught 35 years in the Waterbury Public Schools District. During that time, I became actively involved in the teachers union, and I was elected president of the Waterbury Teachers Association, where I represented over 1,500 educators. I've been involved with numerous nonprofits and currently serve my second term as co-president of the Wakefield Rotary Club. Volunteering and giving back to the community is extremely important to me. I will bring to this council my extensive experience, my expertise and skills to bring residents, small business owners, various groups within the community together to initiate constructive discussion, foster compromise to ensure residents a high quality of living. All stakeholders within the community must feel welcome, listened to, and have a sense of belonging.
Thank you. Hi. My name is Wen Hames, for those of you who don't know it, and I think I know everybody in the room. I've been involved with the town 68 years. I've been involved with many projects for the town. Somebody told me there was no sense in me listing them all, that people don't want to hear what an old man has done in the past. But I've done a lot of things for this town, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud of living in this town. I've been a Lions Club member for 55 years. I've been president of the Narragansett Democratic Town Committee for over 30 years. I'm proud of this building. I worked hard with a bunch of other people to secure this building. There's people sitting up here that fought tooth and nail against this building, and that's unfortunate. There's people sitting up here that fought tooth and nail against the high school track, which I am very, very proud of, because my granddaughter and I now runs track, and I've visited a lot of the tracks throughout the state. These type of things attract young families, and that's what we have to do. We have to come up with a program to get young families here, and I've got programs that I think that can happen. People have come to me all my life and asked me to solve problems. I'd like to solve the problems that we are facing today.
Everybody rejoice, there's only 2 weeks left. My name is Jason Colonies, and I have a doctorate in education and leadership. I volunteered on 2 committees in Narragansett, the Economic Development Committee and the Narragansett Land Conservancy Trust, which taught me the value of civic duty and community involvement. As executive director of the Education Exchange, I lead efforts to help adult learners become lifelong learners and advance their careers. I've gained deep experience in budgeting, staffing, program development in this position. My wife and I are raising 2 daughters, ages 9 and 10, who are going through the Narragansett school system. I'm committed to ensuring our schools remain well-resourced. I recognize the need to balance Narragansett's residents, students, and tourist economies while preserving key assets like the beach and narrow river for future generations. I am now running for town council to help shape policies that reflect these priorities. I'm proud that our slate has been endorsed by the Narragansett Firefighters Local 1589 and the Rhode Island AFL-CIO. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eva Zerzinski. This is I'm completing my second term on the town council. I was not going to run again this time, but then I decided last minute that I would run because there's still a lot of work to be done. We continued the work of the previous council. There were a lot of important issues, and the important issues are housing affordability and balance in this town. And we worked hard this council term to try to engage and try to impress upon people how important it is. I purchased my home in 1998, and I can't see myself doing that right now. So there's things that we need to do as a town, as a council, to put forward ordinances that will allow for opportunities and have year-round families. So I hope to continue on with the good work that we've done, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Thank you. get you to walk. Oh, you're going to pass the microphone back? That's great. Wonderful. Pass it all the way back to Jim. So this first question is going to be answered by both Jim and Rupert.
Together?
Ready? Not together. One after the other. All right, talk to us about your philosophy around the structure of the town council. Please touch on topics such as how the president and president pro tem are identified, whether the town council president should receive a larger pay than other council members, and anything else that you feel is pertinent around the structure of the town council. You have 2 minutes each.
So the president of the town council is voted in by the council members. So the majority of the council members vote for one person, and they become the president, and then they also vote for the pro tem. I had an occasion to be pro tem, and then sometimes president when the president wasn't there, a number of times, back in 2000, 2008. The council is supposed to report or speak through the town manager and not directly to staff, people in the town hall. The town council president is the face of the town council for ceremonial issues and stuff like that. He's the last one to vote for her, which is kind of like a nice thing, because you can see where things are going. I don't know. I'm not really sure what professionals are looking for, but.
Well, I didn't write them, but yeah, I think that they're just wondering kind of what the philosophy is around.
Yeah.
I think Jim really hit the nail on the head with the structure of the council. We have council president and pro tem, and they're voted on by the members of the council in the first meeting, actually. Yeah.
Can everyone hear?
No.
Maybe just closer to your.
So by tradition, in town, I know that the town council president sort of historically has been the person that gets the most votes. And I was actually thinking of something you might ask me, so if I would support the person that gets the most votes for the town council president. And my answer to that is no and yes. And it's no if I get the most votes, because I'm not interested in being the town council president. Other than that, it's yes. And Jim mentioned that the town council hires the town manager, and the town manager really manages the implementation. The town council is responsible for making policy, and the town manager and the staff were responsible, and the departments are responsible for implementing that. And the town council members are members of some of the different committees. So there's a town council member on the Parks Board, for example. And so I know that you have a role in those committees as a member of that committee, and I think it's the liaison responsibility between the committee and the rest of the council. I think another really important role of the town council president is communications, and I think communicating what the town council is doing and why they're doing it so that the town comes along with what the town council is putting forward.
Jill, can you test the microphone, because it didn't sound like it was on.
It should be in the up position.
It's pretty low.
Is it in the up?
It's on.
Try now. Sounds better.
Yeah.
All we needed to do is have Steve or Randy touch it and fix that. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. So the second question will go to Jill and Steve. And the second question is, do you think the structure of the town council meetings needs any adjustments or improvements? If yes, please tell us what you would change. Consider touching upon town council members' input in the agenda setting, availability of the agenda earlier in the week for better preparedness, opportunities for increased public input and comment, particularly during second readings, etc., etc.
I think that the structure of the town meeting is just fine. It's been the same structure for a long period of time and it works out well. The way the agenda setting works is the town council president will sit with the town manager and the town clerk and create the agenda set forward. It gets done on a Tuesday and then it's released to the public and to the town council on a Thursday. I see no need to change it. It has been working quite well. As far as public comment, the comments of the public are able to comment at open forum for 3 minutes. They can also comment at every single agenda item, so there is plenty of time for the public to comment. I see no reason to change.
I feel kind of the same way. I have a few little caveats to that. There is a structure in place right now. A lot of people don't realize that, there is a structure now, and some of that can be changed, but I don't think much of it can be changed. I think it's like Joe said, the staff members come to the town manager with the issues that they have. A lot of what goes on that council is almost mandatory from the staff. We have deadlines to meet, licenses to approve, different kind of spending comes in. So a good portion of that is about that. And I think the 3-minute rule is fine. I don't believe that, everything else that this council has had, I've been going to council meetings and it's been the same for quite a long time. And I think it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So question 3 will go to Ryan and Alex. Question 3 is short. How will you define your budget priorities when hard decisions have to be made?
With regards to budget priorities, we need to ensure that the town functions and that our social structures and safety nets are funded and function. With regards to budgetary priorities, I think that takes the cake over all other periphery spendings. I'm not quite sure. I yield my time.
That's fine.
Well, I think this is a very important question, and there's a lot of substance to be discussed in this question, but when it comes time to really getting down to the nitty-gritty, the most important thing to remember is that we are here to serve the residents on behalf of the residents, and we are only able to lead as well as we are able to listen. And in order for us to prioritize what agenda items to focus on, I strongly advocate for greater dialogue with residents ahead of time. We need to have more workshops to make sure that we are performing to the best of our ability. There is no unilateral decision-making when you're on the town council, or there shouldn't be. So when it comes time to prioritizing what issues to focus on, we need a plan, a well-thought-out plan, and the decisions that we make have repercussions down the road. We need to have plans that are well thought out, forward-thinking, and have the opportunity to address those issues down the road. When it comes time to, for example, dredging the river, we need to have a plan that's well thought out to preserve that budget moving forward, and we need to be able to think about the issues down the road and what kind of a legacy that we want to leave our children, what kind of town that we want to leave our children years ahead. So.
Okay, thank you. So question number 4 will go to Donna and Lynn. So I'm told that the bike path completion has been pending since the last century. Did anyone know that? 1999, apparently. So, will you commit to extending and finishing the bike path during your term, and what route would you support?
I definitely would commit to finishing the bike path. As far as the route goes, there are several options available, and I did take the opportunity to walk from the end of the bike path where it currently ends, and to look at all the options out there as far as where the bike path can go. I personally think we should do everything we can to try to prevent it from going through neighborhoods. I know there are some objections to it going through neighborhoods. I think that what we need to do is complete the bike path with the least amount of problems that it's going to be caused for the residents. But I do think it's very, very important that the bike path get completed. And I get it down to the beach so that people can ride down to the beach and have access to the beach from the bike path.
This is really not a new problem, is it? The biggest problem as far as going through neighborhoods, going through Canacha or getting there is South County Museum. If there's any way, there's hardly any way to go without going through there. They close those gates, it's still light out, people are still biking, there's animals and other items that can be disturbed, you know, within South County Museum. So it's a difficult situation. Do you go down Wandsworth or Hawthorne Street? Again, you're going through a neighborhood and you're going to go back and come back around. There is, from my old days, and again, I'm old, but if you go down Mumford Road, there actually at one time was a path going down Mumford Road to the far left of the school that went all the way through to Wood Avenue. Nobody's really explored that, and would it affect the farm? I really don't know. But it is one option I think you could probably look at to get over there. It is owned by the federal government now as part of the Chaffee Reserve, and I think you could probably work with them. But as far as going through South County Museum, I think that's a no-go. And just how do you get down there without going through the South County Museum? Nobody can come up with an answer. You know, you're not going to send it down Kingstown Road, you're not going to send it by the ice plant, and you're not going to send it down, well, I don't know where you can send it from there. I mean, either go down a road or find a back path down next to the river and bring it around Wood Avenue. I live on Wood Avenue. I don't give a rat's butt if it comes down Wood Avenue, but some of my neighbors would. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Question number 5 will go to Jason and Eva. And question 5 is, please discuss your opinion on non-resident parking in the town beach lots. How should that work?
I think that we could probably give the beach manager more say in letting them open the parks on the non-busy days, right? And probably restricting the parking on the weekends for the residents. I think it's a pretty easy solution. I think it's a no-brainer, so I'm pretty good with it.
Thanks. So we just had a beach work session yesterday at 6 p.m. So a lot of the information was presented in terms of like parking and then just the operating budget, and it was really great to have that information to you know, going forward to really decide on what changes or if any changes need to be made. I think currently the parking as it is seems like it was working well, you know, with the west lot for non-resident, and you know what they did state was there's over 40% of individuals who are non-residents that come to the beach. So we are a welcoming community for non-residents to the town beach. So I believe that currently the plan that we have in place is working, and then this will be discussed at a future meeting, council meeting, and it will be with the next council. So thank you.
Thank you. So this is going along swimmingly, Lori.
Yes. Thank you for being so brief in all your answers.
Yes. So question 6, again to Jim and Rupert. Question 6 is, in previous statements, some council candidates have referred to the Narragansett Town Beach as a business. The current Parks and Recreation Director often does the same, publicly saying the beach should be run as a business. The town beach is an enterprise fund, however, and the word business or for-profit is never mentioned in relation to the beach in the town charter or in the 2017 comprehensive plan. So the question is, do you believe the town beach should be run as a business? What changes would you make, if any?
I'm not sure if I've read the charter before, so I'm not sure if the charter talks about enterprise funds or not, but I know we have those for some of our utilities. It seems like it's worked out pretty good. I mean, it's a way of saving money and making it pigeonholed for that purpose. I believe there's like $5 million in the beach enterprise fund right now. I don't think that would be there probably if we didn't have the enterprise fund. It might have been used for something else. I guess if it wasn't a business, then it would be just let everybody on the beach. I think it's just Narragansett history to keep people, control the amount of people that go on to the beach. It's our beach, it's the town's beach. I think that's the right thing to do. It does irk me, like I said before, to see empty parking lots because I'm a businessman and I just feel like that's an empty house. There should be people in it paying rent and, so there should be people in that parking lot paying for parking. I'm sure that the beach manager could be given more authority to make that happen. But I don't think I would change the way the beach is run. I think it's run pretty good. I'm proud of it.
Thank you.
I don't see the beach being operated as a business. I see it being operated sort of as a nonprofit organization. And so the revenue that's generated by user fees pays for the operations. And I think a lot of people that come to the beach aren't aware of that. So I think communicating that to the people that are paying parking passes and paying for the day passes, I think would be good to do. I mean, I've lived in town since 2000, and it wasn't until a year or two ago that I was aware that those fees cover the cost of the beach, and that's how the fees are set, so that it does cover the cost of the beach. So I think running as it does as an enterprise fund, I think works well. I think the beach is also a flagship, if you will, for the town. It's our face forward to much of the public. So I think it's really important that the beach staff are friendly to people come. And I think opportunities like Yoga on the Beach, which is open to everybody, I think it's set up working the way it is, and I think it operates fine.
Thank you. Okay, question 7 to Jill and Steve. Aside from beach erosion, residents have voiced their concerns with other environmental issues such as water and sewer infrastructure, water conservation, stormwater runoff, polluting our waterways, as well as e-vehicle infrastructure, charging stations capacities. Please discuss what your top 2 environmental issues are and what you believe can be done to mitigate them.
Well, I think one of the biggest ones we started to look at is dredging Narrow River. And we do have a plan in place. We are going to be working with other agencies within the state, be it South Kingstown, North Kingstown, the Dunes Club, in order to help pay for that. But it's vitally important that we open up the mouth of the river so we can actually flow in and out. It's beach erosion, but it's also the health of the river and the ecosystem. We've had a couple studies that were done by this council, the Taylor study that adds into the Other Woods Hole study for the Narragansett Town Beach, which talks a lot about beach health and building on dunes. I think that we need to really extend into that more, hire on some type of a scientist to be able to help us figure out where do the dunes go on the beach, how can we best keep the beach alive and enjoyable for our community. And I see Deb Kopek's here, so the EV stations I know are very important to you. I know that at the library we did approve, I think, 2 that will be coming in, so I think that we've taken care of that as well.
I also believe that the beach is our biggest asset, and that's what we really have to worry about the most. That's the signature of our town. We did have the 2 studies that we have done, which is great, and we're starting to dredge the river. With the study, there's also, we could use that as a Bible, so-called, for the next 10 years. There's a lot of suggestions within that study that was completed about, step 1, step 2, different things, the dunes, working more towards Narragansett Beach. So, we kind of do have a roadmap. That would be one of mine, the beach, number 1. Second of all, you talk about the infrastructure. This council did give the go-ahead to the one of the committees that worked on the sewer and the water infrastructure. And we hadn't had a rate increase. I know everybody's rates went up a little bit, but it was basically ready to go under. So we had a little bit of a discussion about that. And, we realize that that's going to be the future. We're not going to be able to grow without enough water or sewer infrastructure, which is very important. So that's another area. We looked at issues about, is it being overtaxed by certain homes and things like that. So certainly those 2 are the most important, I believe, at this point. I mean, it's hard to pick like 1 and 2, but that's certainly, without an infrastructure of water and sewer and having those pipes clean, we did flush the, people who get in their mail, we did flush the tanks, the 2 tanks that we have several years ago. So those are my 2 top priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question 8. The town of Narragansett has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in litigation of the 4 unrelated 3 student short-term rentals and other rental regulations since 2016. If you are elected, do you see a way forward without litigation? Please discuss.
This question is in regards to short-term rentals.
It's really the litigations that's happened since 2016, which was also short-term rentals, but it's been the 3-person student, 4 unrelated. There's been several different ordinances that have been challenged, and the town has spent money litigating.
What I would say to this is I would stop trying to pass litigation stop trying to pass legislation that would get caught up in court. I'm sorry. I would work to bring down the short-term rental limit from a week to something shorter, something more reasonable, 3 or 4 days. Additionally, with regards to the unrelated individuals, that matter's been settled by the state. That has been raised to 5 unrelated individuals, so would not continue to fight that. Listen to the populace, listen to our town solicitor when it comes to writing legislation and odds of avoiding legislation in court. I yield.
All right. Well, I'd like to think that there is a path forward without litigation. It's hard to speak on litigation that's already ongoing. We can try to do whatever we can to fix what's already been hurting this town. But I think by having strong relations with the town solicitor and really working hard on these policies and having workshops and reviewing everything and going through the proper channels, then we can avoid this kind of litigation from happening in the future. However, a sad reality facing the world today is that no matter what policy that you pass, it's always susceptible to litigation, unfortunately. I'm hopeful that with greater collaboration we can come up with compromise, and compromise is a key for the future of this town and the future of this town council, that we can lessen the amount of litigation, the amount of challenges to our policies from multiple different stakeholders. So I'm hopeful that we won't see as much litigation in the upcoming town council, but again, it's a very difficult premise to avoid, and it all comes down to having a really strong relationship with our town solicitor and with the residents.
Thank you. Is everyone hearing everyone? Okay. Okay, question 9. This is, there's a lot of talk about Narragansett's tax structure, i.e. commercial rates being different from residential rates, rental properties being taxed as commercial, homestead exemption changes. Please tell us your thoughts on the current property tax structure and any changes you would like to see.
I guess I would start out by saying, with all the canvassing that we have done and all the doors that we have knocked on, all the people I've spoken to, and since I've lived here in Narragansett, I have never really heard anyone complain about the tax structure. That isn't something that has ever really come up in conversation. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how I feel. And I think we need to continue. We may be able to look at the homestead and maybe double the homestead to have more incentive for people to do year-round rentals. I think we need to continue with the incentives that we have with the veterans and the senior incentives. They're not incentives, I'm trying to think what the word is, but the senior credits that you're given, I think we definitely need to continue with those. I don't see changing the tax structure. I support leaving it as is, and if anything, looking at the homestead and what we can do to try to increase the year-round rentals in our community.
Thank you. I'm going to read from my paper because I wrote this. So if I don't look at you, excuse me. First, I brought up doubling the homestead exemption from 10% to 20%. This is going to provide some tax relief for our residents. Next, this will be extended to landlords who rent their properties year-round. I know that people will say that certain landlords are renting their properties for $3,000 a month and don't deserve a homestead exemption. It's not aimed at those landlords. It's aimed at increasing the number of year-round rentals and attracting new residents in town. There would be conditions as subletting and length of ownership and things that would have to be worked out. But it's a beginning. Next, after Harris wins, she stated she would give first-time borrowers $25,000 toward the purchase of a home. We have a $3 million bond issue that should be approved and designated for affordable housing. I would suggest setting $500,000 aside and match the $25,000 from the federal government. And would also talk to the state and ask for another $25,000 for first-time home buyers. This hopefully would counter the present rhetoric about not being able to afford a house in Narragansett. We already have the lowest tax rate in the state, especially to the towns surrounding us. New family mortgages would be similar or less to those surrounding towns because of our tax rate. I would also offer a $25,000 stipend to families who want to buy a house in Narragansett and move. This again would attract new families to town and give them homestead exemption right away. We have one of the best school systems and best beaches and recreation opportunities that we have anybody in this state. Short-term rentals have become a problem across the country, but harsh proposals by this council has only hurt a lot of our residents. I'd rather see a license issued for short-term rentals, and these licenses would be non-transferable. The number of would be reduced through attrition. There will be exception to residents renting rooms in their homes. Our senior population is
Just finish your sentence.
24%, and they need our help. Thank you.
Look up every once in a while.
Only one I read.
Okay, so the last question for this round, before we get to the lightning round, is what is your vision for the site and building of the former town library? Do you believe the decision ultimately belongs to the voters via placing it in a referendum?
That should go into a referendum, certainly. But I mean, it's going to be up to us to come up with some ideas for it to get into a referendum, imaginatively. I've heard a bunch of things. I know there's a whiteboard somewhere in this library with a bunch of suggestions on it. I've yet to see it yet. I'd like to see it. But again, this is about listening to everybody, and communicating, having workshops, and coming up with the right ideas to make this happen, right? And certainly once we do all the workshops and come up with the right ideas, then it should go to a referendum for the voters. Absolutely.
So I know that we assigned a special project to the town manager assigned, we had Mike DeLuca, who was our community development director, he retired, so he didn't retire for very long. Well, he did, but we had him work on a special project and come up with an ideas for this, and we haven't seen it. It hasn't come through the council yet, but again, it's sort of like it's a white paper that he developed with ideas, and again, it will have input from the council, it'll have input from residents, but for me, I would like to see something mixed use there, and I'm looking forward to discussing it at future council meetings and having resident input on those. But it was a project that was done, and we look forward to sharing it with the residents.
Thank you. So that microphone could make its way back up to Jim. We're going to do a lightning round. I don't know what you think the lightning round might be. It's just really we're not even going to time it. If you guys talk longer than this, we're not. Okay, first question. Calamari or clam cakes?
Calamari.
Pass it down.
Clam cakes.
Hurricane calamari.
Calamari.
I went to with calamari.
Calamari.
Absolutely calamari. The state appetizer calamari, which is served to 70% of the calamari served across the United States, comes from our port of Galilee.
Calamari.
Calamari.
Keep the microphone. Yeah, we'll just go back the other way. So, okay, the next lightning round question. Did you get a chance to go to the beach this year? And what chair did you sit by?
I actually did not, but I usually sit by chair 2. That's my favorite chair. And we went to the beach dog beach. I do have a dog, so we have a little boat, and we enjoy the summer with our dog.
I have to reiterate, lightning.
Oh, sorry.
Chair 6, that's where the families hang out.
Chair 6 is where all my kids hang out. I spent 20 years cleaning the beach. I don't go down there that much anymore.
Yes, chair 6.
I sit between chairs 4 and 5.
Chairs 5, 6, or the area beyond.
You go to the beach quite a bit, and between 5 and 6 chairs.
Way too fair-skinned, don't go to the beach.
Yes, I went to the beach, and I don't really sit on the beach, and if I do, I sit down by the spit down by the end of the river.
When I go to the beach, we go to chair 5, and I name my restaurant chair 5.
That's the name. Okay. So one more lightning round question. Do you play pickleball?
Yes, I do.
I don't.
Never tried it.
Still playing racquetball a little bit, but tried pickleball.
Yes, and I was once 4th in the state.
I was not. I play tennis, but have also picked up pickleball as well.
I want to. No.
No.
Took lessons and bought rackets for my husband and myself, so yes, we will be.
Keep the microphone.
Oh, do you want to start down there? Or?
Yeah. Okay. Because this is now the third question. So talk that into the microphone here. So now we're going to get through another question for each candidate. Same way, one question for 2 candidates. We're going to start at this end, so everyone has a chance to be kind of first in answering a question. So this one is for Emma and Jason. Do you believe the Economic Development Committee should be reinstated as an integral part of the function of Narragansett boards and commissions? How do you see the EDC as a liaison to the business community and the town?
I do think an economic development committee can be an important committee. It needs to have the right individuals with the right skill sets. I have looked at what other communities are doing and what they do for economic development, which is not just opening businesses and things like that. It's like for future development and having an economic engine, like blue economy, and focusing on things that can build our economy. So I think in the past, I know it's been a contentious committee, but I would like to see individuals with the right skill sets and seeing if that could come to fruition.
I was on the Economic Development Committee before it was taken away the first time. It's a great committee. I mean, I agree with Everett. It's a committee that have to have the right skill sets. I think the blue economy is super important to Narragansett, and I think that that could be something that could be investigated. Environmental issues can come up in an Economic Development Committee too. I would like to see it grow. I'd like to see it strong. I'd like to see the right people involved in it.
Thank you both.
Uh,
Oh, you get a different question.
But I was on the economic development.
Oh, well, don't forget, you have 2 minutes at the end, so if you want to talk about the question maybe that you didn't get, but you'd like to talk about it, feel free to use your 2 minutes at the end of this session. You're welcome. Okay, so this question is for Wynn and Donna. This is kind of a three-part question. What do you think is the largest factor impacting affordable housing in Narragansett? How do you think we can fix it? And are you committed to supporting the town's affordable housing bond?
I think I mentioned before, I am definitely would like to see the $3 million bond approved. And the affordable housing, again, I think I mentioned a lot about that in my previous statement. We can't sit back and hope thinking it's going to happen. We got to put I'm all right. We got to put proposals out there. They're going to work. That are going to be initiated. We got to attract people to the town. The more people we attract to Narragansett, and we can do that. Like I said before, we got tremendous school system. It's ranked amongst the best in the state. We have this library. We have recreation facilities that envy of a lot of the towns within the state. What was the other two? You're confusing me with three now.
Largest factor impacting it?
Excuse me?
Excuse me. Largest factor impacting affordable housing, how we can fix it, and will you support the bond?
The largest thing impacting is the price of the housing, price of our own homes. There are people who have recommended doing things to reduce the value of our homes, and I'm dead set against that. We have, again, getting back to the $3 million bond, but we have property in this town that we can develop into affordable housing. And you can't equate affordable housing with low-income housing like some people do. You need young families to come into town. You need young families to bring their children to put into the school system. Stop waving that thing in front of me. There are a variety of things that we can do, and I think I mentioned a bunch of them before. Thank you.
Affordable housing is a problem everywhere. I don't think Narragansett's unique to that situation. I think in order to fix it, I'm not sure that there's just a one solution to fixing affordable housing. I think it's a complex issue, but I do think attracting young families to Narragansett, one of the things we have to do is we have to change the narrative on Narragansett. We have to promote our schools. We have to talk about how we are the 5th best school district in Rhode Island, not, oh my God, we only have 33 kids in the kindergarten, because families coming here, if they hear, well, we may have to leave, we may have to regionalize, that's not going to be attracting them. We have to change the narrative about college kids. There's so many college kids I know that help people, help their neighbors. We don't ever talk about that. We talk about how terrible the college kids are. We need to start being more positive about Narragansett itself, and we need to change the narrative, and we need to promote ourselves as this beautiful town that we live in. I do support the bond. I think it's necessary that we have that money available to us so that we can, in the event something comes up, we will have some access to some money to secure something if we need to for affordable housing. But it's a complex issue, and I think it's something that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of discussion, a lot of stakeholders, in order to try to solve an affordable housing. But it's, to me, the number one issue facing Narragansett today.
Okay, thank you. Next question. While there are disagreements on certain issues, what policies and decisions has the current town council passed that you believe they did good work on?
Well, it's hard to address any one specific policy, but I am biased towards the schools. As a member of the school committee, I am grateful for the amount of time and dedication that went into the budget this season and the last 4 years that I've served on the school committee, and any policy that promotes more year-round residents and bringing families into our schools so that we can revitalize, revamp our community, that is what I support. And I am grateful for the collaboration that the school committee has had with the current town council and previous town councils to get through those workshops and supporting our budget and our community.
I commend the current town council for passing the dredging initiative. Narragansett Beach is our pride and joy and jewel of our town. And we need to do whatever it takes to ensure that it is here for its current generation, my generation, and generations down the line. So I am very grateful to the council for having passed that initiative. And if you elect me to council, I will work to ensure that the dredging initiatives continue year over year, such that we can continue to replenish the beach, restore the dunes, and ensure that the beach is around for, again, generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is for Steve and Jill. How would you balance homeowners' right to property use and the neighborhood right to quiet enjoyment of one's property?
Thank you. I think, you know, there's rights equally. There's rights to live in a peaceful neighborhood. There's rights to make money in a town or a business. There's rights to you know, rent your property and all that sort of stuff. The issue right now is that we're in an imbalance right now. We have, you know, three big things going on. We have the student rentals in the wintertime where there's 6,000, 8,000 students. We have the summer rentals and we have year-round people. And there's one other that have just seasonal homes. So I think to bring that back in balance, we look at how it was before. I went to URI. I actually lived in Eastwood Look. There were 3 students in each house. That was it. So that was my senior year. Now it's getting to proliferation where we have the short-term rentals now, and that's even increasing a lot. So I think the balance is that something has to give a little bit. To get more families in here, you have to open up some housing. Now, the only way you're going to open up some housing is that if there's a transfer of some of these homes to younger adults. And if we keep, every time there's a house for sale, an investor comes in and they outbid everybody, all the families, so we just can't afford it. So we have to put the policies on that are going to push this. It's like moving a mountain. It's not easy because we're going against a $50 to $60 million rental business. We all know that. And, you know, I'm proud of this council by at least putting this short-term rental ordinance in. What happens? We get sued again. Now, you know, if the realtors want to say, well, you know, let us write the ordinance so it's perfectly fine and we'll agree with it, then fine. But that's not how this is working. You know, there's serious things that has to happen to move the needle. Thank you.
I'm going to repeat a lot of what Steve just said. We need to find the right balance. One thing that I've heard consistently when I've walked the neighborhoods over the last couple of weeks, especially after the forum we had not long ago, when that was the first time, really, that anybody got to hear from the new candidates what they thought the major issues are in the town. And when it came down to it, when I would speak to people about community, it resonated with them that we need to have more families. I'm sorry, Jason, but the number 33 kindergartners really resonates with people when you say that's all we have in school, because we need to find more families here. We have excellent school systems. We have a jewel of a beach, but we have a balance problem with our housing. We need to be able to find a way to have a tax system that can incentivize some landlords to maybe rent to year-round rentals, as well as create more opportunities for families to purchase here. And that is being done right now with our 3-student ordinance that we have in effect, and the short-term rental ordinance that is currently with a stay with Judge Taft Carter. She has not ruled against it, she's just considering the fact that it needs to be heard. One of the policies for that is we are actually creating a amount of short-term rentals that can be had here in the town, because we don't really know how many we have right now. The state has 1,100, which is why we've developed the number of 1,100 the first year for licensing, 1,000 the next, and followed by 900. But we need to get our arms around how many there are. Our neighborhoods should not be used as hotels. We heard a lot about people not knowing who their neighbors are. Transient people should not be the majority in our neighborhoods. We should have neighbors in our neighborhoods. People should know who they are.
Thank you. Rupert and Jen, this question is, while there are disagreements on the best way to implement a short-term rental ordinance, do you support an overall cap on the total number of short-term rentals in town? And as much as you could discuss, and that would be helpful, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I think it's a good idea to have a cap on the number of short-term rentals. The cap that was established in the ordinance, I'm not sure where that number came from. I know that when we look at the number of short-term rentals that are registered with the state, and you look at the number of rentals that are registered with the town, there's a number of rentals registered with the state that aren't on the town registration list. So there's not good data on how many short-term rentals we have. And I also know there's short-term rentals that aren't registered on either. There's some in our neighborhood that I see. I know they're being rented short-term, and they're not on either database. So I think it's important to set a limit. Where the limit should be, I'm not sure where it should start. And I think Wynn made the point of if we're going to reduce it as is written in the current ordinance, let's look at the first year, how many are registered, and then maybe reduce it by attrition, people that don't renew.
Jim?
So rentals are have been kind of flat for the last 10 years. I don't think there's more rentals than there were, say 5 years ago. I think COVID increased this whole rental thing. Airbnb increased this whole rental thing, but I think we're at a point where people aren't able to rent their houses as much as they were able to. We saw a decline last year, and we're seeing a bigger decline this year. So the economies kind of take care of things, and I think government sometimes reacts late and overreacts. So I'd have to say the ordinance that the current town council passed with the cap on the short-term rentals was one of the contentious issues that, I keep looking at you, I'm supposed to be looking at these people, I'm sorry.
I'm over face here.
But I think that the cap is one of the problems, so I wouldn't be supporting the cap, at least the way it was proposed. But I do think we need to do something about it, and I would support some type of regulation. There's something else I was going to say, but I forgot what it was, so I'm sorry.
Thank you. If you could make that microphone make its way down to Eva. Get another set of questions. And this question is for Eva and Jason. If elected, what is the first item you will place on the agenda?
I think we're first place that I would place on the agenda.
Yes.
I think there's the format. I know we're going to have license renewals coming up, but I would like we delay that. But I think just continuing any items that really help with housing affordability and making sure that we continue the process to bring a balance into our community, whether that be through new ordinances or implementing safeguards to current ordinances.
First item on the agenda.
Just hold a little bit closer.
The first item on the agenda. Huh.
The first item you would put on the agenda.
Me?
Might not be the
Like,
first meeting.
oh, well, I'd like to investigate into our playgrounds, actually, a little bit. So I probably would put like a study on our playgrounds. I'd like to see some new playgrounds built. I would especially like to see Cristofaro become a state-of-the-art playground. So I think I might start there. I would also probably talk about the bike path a little bit, try to move that forward quicker rather than hold off on it. That's about it. I mean, there's going to be tons.
Thank you. Okay, next question. What current ordinances do you perceive as inappropriate, misguided, or unfair?
What ordinances do I perceive?
What current ordinances do you perceive as either inappropriate, misguided, or unfair, if any?
That's an interesting question. What do I think is unfair or inappropriate? Well, I don't think the 7-day rental is fair. And one reason is that it's not an exception for people who rent rooms in their own home. 24% of our population is senior citizens. I have a lady at the end of the street, been here for about, 15 years. She rents one room in her house. Since she's been here, her taxes have tripled, her Social Security has not tripled, her retirement has not tripled. She rents one room to try to create enough money so she can stay in town. This ordinance, I think, is extremely unfair to a lot of residents in town. I don't think it was very well thought out. I would change that. Do we need some type of restriction? Yes, we do. But you have to take everybody into consideration when you're making these ordinances or passing these ordinances. That's why we've spent, $500,000, $750,000 in legal fees, because we don't think the ordinance is through. So that's probably would be on my top of my list to investigate. Have any more time? 15 seconds. I'll pass.
I would have to say that the short-term rental, I don't believe was well thought out. I think that it needs to be brought back to the table. I think all stakeholders need to come to the table. We need to talk. We need to have discussion. We need to look at compromises. I truly believe that what has happened now is that people have drawn a line in the sand because they don't feel like they were listened to. And I don't think that people are willing to compromise on either end because they don't feel like their voice is being heard. And I believe through discussion that we could come up with a better short-term rental ordinance than what's currently in existence. I also have heard a lot about zoning and how the state is trying to help alleviate with the affordable housing, and I don't know all the details, and I could never even stand to tell you right now all the specifics, but I know that the town has then now changed their zoning, which is now not helping what the state was trying to do. And I don't understand all the details of it, and it's something that I would research and try to get more information on. But I think the zoning, I've heard a lot of people talk about different zoning problems that they're having based on the changes in the zoning plans. So I think those would be the two things.
Thank you. Next question. Do you think the process by which residents get the opportunity to rent cabanas that currently results in a multi-year wait list should be changed? Tell us why.
Well, a fun one. I used to work at the beach for 7 years, and I have to say I was always quite surprised working the cabana lots and really often seeing it empty. I think that this is definitely a policy that we can look into further. And I'm not against a lottery system, but I also have empathy for those who have been on the waiting list for 15, 20 years. I missed the waiting list time. It's really sad that if I wanted to have a cabana that I'd have to wait until I was 50-something years old to even start considering that, and many of us don't even have that consideration within our lifetimes. And when we're all advocating for greater coastal access, and we echo the idea of the beach being the jewel of our community, it would be really wonderful for all of the money that we're investing into the upkeep of our cabanas to be able to share in those resources. So I'm in favor of any opportunity of regulating the cabanas more. It's not a popular idea, but I don't want to say no to anyone who's been on the waiting list. People who have been on the waiting list for that amount of time should have the opportunity to rent a cabana, but there has to be some sort of a compromise with moving that list along so that we can actually use and fill up our lots. So that's my head.
All right. I don't believe that cabanas should be given to individuals for lifetimes. The cabanas are for the town. What I would propose is to institute a year limit for the people who presently have cabanas, be it 5 years perhaps, before they forfeit them, and going on to the wait list, giving it to the people on the wait list for 2 years, cycling through until we've exhausted the wait list before moving on to a lottery system amongst the populace, such that it can be fair and equitable, and all members of our Narragansett community can have access to a cabana. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question for Steve and Jill. Talk about how you feel about accessibility to the ocean. Previously, councils explored increasing parking at certain right-of-ways that could handle it to allow citizens or anyone really to access the water more easily. Is that something that you would look into again? What are your thoughts just around accessibility to our beautiful ocean?
I've always been for accessibility to our ocean, and we're lucky to have as much accessibility as we have in this town, between the town beach, all the state beaches we have, and I can remember at the time, I was younger, when Black Point, they were thinking about putting condominiums at Black Point, and there was this goes back a ways, but there was actually a person used to walk from Point Judith all the way to Narragansett by the pier, and it was a man, and that was one of the ideas of having a right-of-way. Now, the condo development got dropped, and then we had the state purchase it, and then they purchased a lot of other properties. So the state has made great improvements. So I think we have a lot of access at this point. The Nullman Park, it'd be nice if they could open that up, but that's privately owned. I think there's other areas where we can go into. I mean, we have plenty of right-of-ways in town. The issue is, today everybody has a vehicle. If everybody was walking to all these right-of-ways, there wouldn't be as much cars parked there. So, we have Hazard Avenue, Newton Avenue. Some of those work because it's a little wider. There's significant parking. So I think we have a lot of access where people can get to the beach. Some of the areas where it's inaccessible, maybe they have to be reviewed or try to continue some more parking, but there's actually been some access there because some of the parking has been made. So I'm definitely an advocate for it. I think there's a lot of it, and I think we're not taking advantage of all the access that we do have here. And we should be grateful for it. Thank you.
Well, the Rhode Island Constitution guarantees everyone from Rhode Island access to the water. And Rhode Island and Narragansett, we have no more water than in Narragansett to access for the amount of state beaches we have, as well as our town beach. So I'm going to answer the question that really talks about ocean access, really about our town beach. Our town beach has a parking lot, the west lot, that has 178 parking spots that is open to any non-resident that wants to come and enjoy our beach. The beach workshop that was just had, Eva mentioned, 80,000 non-residents used our beach this past summer, 80,000. And that is 40% of all day passes that came through. So certainly there is ocean access in the town of Narragansett to anyone who wants to use our lovely beach. And let's face it, everybody wants to use our beach. In regard to facilities and the question that was asked about cabanas, I'm happy to say that being on the rec board, one thing that we did was create a rec board subcommittee. Jan is in the background, and she was our chair of our rec board subcommittee. So when the next town council is in front of the subcommittee, they will be revealing what they feel are the fair and equitable reasons for people to have all facilities, just not cabanas, because remember, we have lockers that are also very, very welcoming for people. So this will all be rolled out at the next committee, but again, Jan, I want to thank you and your committee for all your hard work. I know you had open public meetings. It was a difficult thing to handle.
I hope everybody likes what we came up with.
Yeah, I think
Called me out.
you did a nice job. There she is back there, blue shirt. She did a really nice job.
Okay, this is going to be our last question to the candidates. We're going to go back and everyone will have a 2-minute closing statement. Again, I encourage you to bring up anything you want in that closing statement. If there's other questions that you wish you had been asked and you want to ask them, please do that. And then we're going to actually have some nice time, probably about 20 or 25 minutes, that we can all mingle much more casually, stand up, walk around. There's refreshments in the back. Okay? All right. So the last question. You just get mixed up. Okay. If elected, what do you hope this coming council will be known for?
That's, to me, that's an easy question. It's a softball.
I just did it.
So I hope that the council is known for building consensus and having a civil discussion about issues and really bringing the community in, having workshops and facilitated discussion of the community when we have those issues that are contentious. And then communicating about why the council is making the decisions we're making and the reasons behind them and why the direction we're going. I think communication is as important, not just what the council's doing, but what the town does. And I think a lot of people get concerned, get upset about things because they don't understand the reasons behind the town's ordinances, the town's decisions, and I think that's really important, the communication as well as the civil discussion leading to consensus on important decisions.
I guess the question seemed like it was just a simple question for a simple answer, but that's okay. But I would have to say inclusionary. That's what I like to.
Thank you. Why don't you keep the mic, Jim? Get ready. So we'll go into the 2-minute closing statement. When you're ready. You ready? Go right ahead.
Thank you, Laurie Kelly, for organizing this important forum, and thank you to all the participants and residents for coming out tonight. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize Susan Cicilline-Bonanno for many years of dedicated service to the town, as well as Deb Kopek for her contributions. Your commitment has made a lasting impact, and we are grateful. To the voting public, thank you for your support in the primary. I urge you to carry that same momentum into the general election. We are at a critical point in our town's future. If we don't bring in fresh leadership, we risk facing the same gridlock, the same lawsuits, and the same stagnation that have held us back. A clean slate gives us the opportunity to move forward with clarity and purpose, avoiding the quagmire of inaction. Let's work together for a Narragansett that thrives for all of us. Thank you, and I hope to earn your vote again in the general election.
I feel lucky that my life has brought me to live in this wonderful town. I'm concerned because I see the town changing in ways that are not sustainable as a community. More than half the properties in the town are owned by non-residents, and the percentage of outside owners is increasing. This trend's creating complex challenges for the town, many that we've discussed tonight. Housing that's affordable for our children who want to live here, families who want to move here, and people working in the area, and sustaining year-round community and quality schools. The trends aren't good, and I'm concerned that the town is at its tipping point and risks becoming hollowed out as a community. I've seen this happen in other towns where I've worked. When these places lose their community cohesion and sense of belonging, when that happens, residents who move there aren't connected to the town. They aren't interested in the town's future. And these towns declined as decisions were driven by short economic benefit of a few. We can't keep kicking the can down the road on decisions addressing the town's difficult issues. I have the skills and experience to help the town navigate through our challenges. As those who have watched my work on the planning board seen, I do my homework, I come to meetings prepared. If elected, I can hit the ground running. I'm committed to working in the town's best interests, establishing a track record that validates your confidence in me, so that 100 years from now, I want future generations, our grandchildren's children, to still be able to say, this is a wonderful place, instead of, this used to be such a wonderful town. How did this happen? Let's make the right decisions for the future we want for our town. And thank you again for being here tonight.
That was an excellent answer. Here's my closing statement. I think right now we're at a tipping point in our community, as many things that Rupert just mentioned. And this election is going to come down to two things: community, or do we want real estate investors? We right now at our tipping point. If we don't make some of the hard decisions that I'm so proud that Steve and Eva and I did, and Deb, as far as the 3-student and the short-term rental ordinances we put into effect, we're going to lose the town. It's an easy thing to talk about when we walk around and knock on doors. We're losing the town. We're losing our school system. We're losing the character of our community. We don't have a community. People don't know each other. And as far as the litigation that we've gotten into, the only reason that we have to fight and hire attorneys to fight is because we're being sued by a $55 million group of people who have been unregulated for such a long period of time that any regulation whatsoever makes them fight, makes them run to court. So we are fighting for our community. We're fighting for our community. Now, Mr. Riley, I appreciate if you would interrupt me, sir. So we're fighting for our community. And you know what, Mr. Riley interrupted me. I lost my train of thought, so I'm going to just pass.
Take a breath.
No, that's okay.
Okay, let's pick it up here. First, I would like to thank the voters of Narragansett who elected me in the 2022 election. It has been a fulfilling experience to be involved in many aspects of our town. I have met many new residents, and I am running again this year to continue a platform of full-time, resident-friendly neighborhood quality of life policies, which includes ensuring our neighborhoods are a priority and there is a framework in place to accomplish this goal. I am an advocate of the 3 college student ordinance, the 3 unrelated ordinances. I believe this will prevent our single-family neighborhoods from becoming mini dormitory districts with guest houses and mini hotels implanted in our residential neighborhoods. When this occurs, our neighborhoods experience a more transient status and residents become concerned that changes in the fabric of the neighborhood, people do not know who their neighbors are. If the situation continues, it threatens one of the very ideals of the American dream of single-family home ownership and a sense of a community. I have always been involved with my community in the past, attending town council meetings, working with other neighborhood associations, and finding common ground on issues, and working with solutions. And I respectfully ask for your vote in November. Thank you.
I am not a politician. I know I'm not the most polished up here, nor am I the most experienced with local town politics. That said, how does one gain experience? By doing. I hope that you may elect me to office such that I can gain more experience. I bring a unique perspective as someone who has left and returned to Rhode Island. I love this town, and I am its future. I want to represent this town in the office of the town council and hope that you may consider me for the position. Again, I'm an Eagle Scout, Lions Club member, and have used these experiences to aid and contribute to the Narragansett community. I'm committed to the residents of this town in ensuring a high quality of life for those residents. I want to decommission Fort Nathaniel Green in the south end and buy back dilapidated land in Point Judith from the city of Providence to be used for housing that is affordable, with priority given to town workers, teachers, firefighters, police officers, and fishermen. I want to ensure coastal access rights for all. Thank you to Lori Kelly and the library for having us this evening. Thank you to you all for attending and being informed constituents. And again, I hope I may have your support in November. Please visit tctorialday.com. Thank you.
Thank you again, Lori and Nancy, for putting this forum together, my fellow candidates for being here, and to all of you Narragansett residents in attendance here tonight. I also want to acknowledge Susan and Deb for your many years of dedication and service to this town. I wish you all the best, but don't go too far. We might be looking for your guidance soon again. I support funding our library. I support funding our schools and dredging the mouth of the river. I support improving transportation for our seniors. But most importantly, preserving the high quality of life for all residents needs to be the top priority. In just 2 weeks' time, you will have the power to institute change. Your voice matters, and your vote is so important. We are only able to lead as well as we are able to listen to residents and hear directly from you. We need to come together to protect the future of our town and our way of life. Let us pass down to our children and future generations a future that we can all be proud of. I will do everything I can to support all Narragansett residents in this town. I believe in our town, I believe in our residents, I believe in a future that is filled with community and collaboration. Serving as a leader in this town has been the greatest honor of my life, and I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your support. Everyone up here has different backgrounds and experiences. Everyone here is a leader in their own way. Now it is up to you, the voters, to decide which balance of backgrounds and experiences you value most in your next town council. Together we can work to rebuild our community and support policies that work for all residents. You all have graciously put your faith in me before, and I will respectfully ask for your support during this election. To learn more about my candidacy, please visit www.votealexmenzies.com. And I have 15 seconds. I want to give a quick soundbite for the school committee candidates who are in attendance here tonight. I see at least 3, Justin, Jen, maybe CJ somewhere back there as well. Please, if you have the opportunity to speak with them directly here tonight, they have shown their support for us. I would like you to return the favor by showing your support for them. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to share with you my positions and ideas on many of the issues facing the residents of Narragansett. I believe you heard from 5 candidates tonight that have a shared purpose of bringing back to the residents of Narragansett a sense of community by leading with respect, kindness, and active listening. 5 candidates who want to ensure that all residents are represented, valued, and enjoy the best quality of life. I think it's essential that the town council reflect all sectors of the Narragansett population, to seek solutions to the issues from unique perspectives. Alex and Ryan, young candidates who understand the difficulties of buying a home and starting a family, or hearing from Jason, who is currently raising his family here, 2 children in the school district, is paying taxes and knows the needs of young families. From Jim, who is a lifelong successful businessman, knows the concerns facing businesses, knows the apprehensions of the landlords, and knows the history of Narragansett better than most. I honestly believe that you cannot make good decisions going forward unless you know what has been done in the past. And, well, for me, I see things through the eyes of a female and a senior who knows what it's like to live on a fixed income. We are 5 candidates who genuinely have respect for one another, are willing to listen to each other and learn from each other, and see each other's varying points of view. I believe if all 5 of us are elected, we can accomplish effectively and successfully making Narragansett the best it can be. But the most important message I leave with you tonight is that your voice matters and your vote counts. You can make a difference by filling out that ballot and voting for the future you see for Narragansett.
Thank you. Let's not talk about the past, because I am the past. I've been here many years, and like I said, people have come to me or have helped solving problems. And I'm an old man. I'll talk about what I've done. a couple of the things and what I think I can bring to you. For instance, the land that the middle school sits on. We're looking for land. I happen to know some people who own that property. I went, negotiated for that property for the town. We bought we bought the property and built the middle school. Dominic Cristofaro came to me many years ago. We didn't have a Little League field. We were playing at George C. after a Little League field on Brown Street, which nobody here has ever seen except me. Came to me and said, hey, we got to do something about a Little League field. We walked the present Little League field. For somehow, some reason, some night, a whole bunch of Phils showed up, and we built a Little League field. My proudest accomplishment, I think, is when the athletic director at the high school, when they combined, cut middle school sports. There were only 4 then: basketball, boys and girls, softball, and baseball. And if they cut the sports, we were out of the sports for 2 years. Baseball team, which I was coaching the team, got together. I picked them up every single day for 6 weeks. We went door to door. And I think one of the proudest moments in my town was my son and his team walked down that aisle to Sheila Trainer and presented them a check for $10,000 and saved the sport. 2 years later, the middle school had an athletic director for themselves. And I don't know what would have happened if that hadn't happened. But those kids may be the proudest person in this town. I will do more for you.
Your time's up.
Talk to me later.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having this. Thanks for being here. I just wanted to say a couple things. I'm going off script. I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to. I just want to say that if you want, the best times of my life here in Narragansett have been with the families of Narragansett. And they do exist. They're out there, and they work hard every day. They have children. They're playing sports. They're there. Just go to a sporting event and you'll see them. Go to a rec event and you will see them. They are all over the place. And we are proud and we are strong. So please remember that we are out there and we are working hard for this town. I also think that we need to dredge the river to save the beach and to save the river. And I think that's a priority that we should do. I know this council is already pushing it forward, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'd like to see some offshore shoulder season events happen. I think that can help the economy. I think it can bring people here. It will also help support the tourists and the residents and the businesses. And I also think we need to support the students. We are a 3 economy town, and that's what keeps our taxes low. And we have to keep our taxes low. We all want our taxes low, right? So we have to support those 3 economies. Think about me in 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks left. Yay!
Last but not least, so thank you very much for organizing this forum. Thank you for to those who submitted those questions. Some of them were very thought-provoking, so thank you for that, and thank you for everybody for attending and really listening to what the candidates have to say. You know, I'm a URI grad ×2. I love URI, and I was able to purchase my own home, and I'm blessed to live here and own my own home here. And I really want that to be a possibility for others as well. And currently, I think it's out of reach for many. So what I do on council is thinking of all those people and wanting to bring community back and year-round families. I ran for town council in 2020 to help unify the town and ensure that the will of the people was followed. And I'm completing my 2nd term on the council, and there's a lot more work to be done. I have the experience that residents trust, and I'm running for town council because we're at a frightening point of no return with investor landlords buying up our town and driving up house prices so that year-round families can no longer afford to live here. And I'm sounding the alarm. This needs to change, and we need the right council elected to make sure we can put a stop to this. So it's been an honor and privilege serving the town for the past 4 years on the council. I humbly request your vote on November 5th or before to re-elect me for a 3rd term to continue progress on important issues in our town. If re-elected, I will continue to fight for community and balance in our town. Experience matters. Having candidates that can hit the ground running is so important as there is so much more work to be done. For more information, please go to voteforeva.com or check out the League of Women Voters insert. Thank you.
Thank you. And before Lori comes up for her closing remarks, Jill, I asked you earlier, but would you like a chance to say a few words? Can we get the microphone back to Jill?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we heard a lot of really good buzzwords tonight. One of them was respect, that people want to have more respect in town.
What was that, Joe? If you want respect, give it. Michael.
There's really no audience participation at this point, so let's wait till we all get up and talk to each other around the room.
I'll get up now.
Okay.
Good job, Michael. Good job.
Go ahead, Jill.
Respect and kindness. We heard a lot about kindness tonight too, and I agree. And if anyone tuned into the town council meeting last night, you saw active listening, you saw people respected, you saw kindness, you saw collaboration, you saw a lot of these things. And it all comes down to having the right council and the right people working together. And the four of us last night showed that. One of the earlier questions was about the structure of the town council and who gets elected town council president. Now, there is no long-time decision on this. It is dependent upon the people that are elected to the body. And I really believe a lot of what was written on social media this past couple of years was because of the fact that Eva was elected to the town council president. And that was a vote that I took really tough look at. When I was on the council with Susan and she was a president, she would not communicate with me. So when it came down to voting for her, I couldn't vote for her because I wanted to be able to have someone that I could speak with. So yes, I voted for Eva, and Eva's taken a lot in social media over the last couple of years about it. But since the question was posed, I felt that I would ask and answer it. So thank you so much. I ask you for your vote either before or on election day. Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates and everyone that attended. Let's Lori have a few last words.
Very few last words. Congratulations to everyone that didn't take every second of the time. So now we get to meet the crowd, and there is water and some, snacks in the back. So please meet everyone one-on-one. Thank you so much for participating because